Welcome back to A Jade Abroad with me, Jade, and lovely
Wendy!
Yay!
From A Journey for Wisdom.
Yes, and there's going to be information on that at the end. Okay, so this time we're talking about how you can give support to people you know and love that have bulimia.
Dun 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 dun. A Jade Abroad.
Okay, so first question. How can friends and loved ones support people with or recovering from bulimia? Listening. Listening is a good one.
That's the best tool, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to want to ask a million questions, and I appreciate if you want to understand and you want to learn about eating disorders, and maybe that's your way of trying to be supportive. But I think the most important thing is to show up and just be ready to listen, because that's most likely what people who are going through this or who have gone through this, are really seeking.
And listen without judgment.
Yeah.
If you say to them,
Oh, just stop it.
that's a redundant statement that isn't going to help anyone, because if you've seen any of our other videos on this topic, it's like an addiction. It's not something that you can just stop.
Right, yeah. It's something that many people might default to, but some people feel like they have to fix your problems. And maybe you don't have to resort to doing that unless the person comes to you specifically asking for advice.
Yes.
So be aware when people are just coming to you for the support, for someone to lean on, versus someone who really needs advice, really wants you to tell them where to start.
Exactly. And that's another thing. You may think that you want to fix the person with bulimia, but it's not going to be able to come from you. It has to come from them.
Right. There are different ways to approach it, but I think just trying to be as compassionate as possible, and even if you don't understand, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just try to be
Available.
as available and present
Yeah.
as possible when they're sharing their journey with you, because it takes a lot of courage and a lot to muster up
Right.
in order to come forth with that.
Okay, so next question. How did your parents respond when you told them you had bulimia? Well, Wendy hasn't told her parents
Right?
yet.
As we mentioned before.
Yeah, so in a previous video we already talked about this, but to keep it short and simple, my mum shouted at me because she didn't know how else to react and told me that she didn't want to bury a skeletal corpse.
I think that was based on fear on
Exactly.
her end. She didn't know how to take it.
Right.
And she was so scared
So
for her
worried.
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She doesn't want to lose you.
Right. Exactly.
So it's really heavy, and you can't expect that people will respond
In
the best ways and the healthiest ways.
Yeah.
But it can be really scary being vulnerable. That's part of the reason why I haven't opened up to my parents yet. I'm afraid that they'll blame themselves. I don't think they'll react in the way that your mom did, but
Yeah.
I am afraid that they're going to just jump to conclusions and say,
What did we do wrong?
Right.
just look inward and
Right.
take a lot of that blame on themselves, which they shouldn't. You know,
Right.
I'm going through a lot as a person and growing as an individual, and there's no one to blame, myself either.
Right. Shit happens and we just gotta accept it and move on
Right.
in as healthy a way as possible.
That's right.
Yep. Okay, so next. Did anybody encourage you to keep going?
To keep going
With bulimia?
No. Not for me, not at all. I don't think anyone told me what to do, but no one has ever encouraged me to
Keep
keep,
going.
yeah,
Just keep
Yeah.
on ruining your body there, love.
right, no. Luckily, I've never met anyone or talked to anyone who's told me that.
Right.
How about you?
I mean, I dated this one guy once in Japan. He told me when I came out and told him that I was bulimic that he didn't care. It didn't change his perception of me, and that I could use his bathroom whenever and I didn't have to tell him. But the way he said it was kind of like,
I don't care if you recover or not. Just do what you like and
Don't tell me about it.
As long as I don't have to deal with it or see it. it's
yeah, it was kind of like
kind
as
of
long
out of
as
sight,
you...
out of mind.
Right, he was like, if you feel that way, then sure.
Did you stay with this person much longer after that?
For a year. Stayed with him for a year. But like I also realized later on, I think he had his own issues because he would do enemas. Do you know what an enema is? It's where you squirt a bunch of water up your bum and like you clean it out.
Oh.
Yeah, and he asked me sometimes,
hey, do you want to do it?
and he would take laxatives as well. I think he had his own
Oh,
issues.
wow.
So
Yeah, no wonder.
right.
I feel like someone who would say something like that, who would
Just be
show
like,
that
yeah,
kind
continue,
of,
go over there, get it, just, you know.
They have to have some kind of issue going on themselves,
Exactly.
and they're not able to show you the right kind of support.
Yeah.
Oof, that's scary though.
That
I'm
was-
sorry you had to deal with
No,
that. for
it's
that long.
okay. It's okay, it's fine. Next question. Are there any warning signs that someone may have an eating disorder? What should friends and family look out for?
Yeah, for sure. Like
Escaping to the bathroom
people, yes,
after every
yes,
meal or
being
in
very
between
secretive.
meals sometimes.
Yeah, claiming that they have stomach issues all the time.
Yes.
Rejecting food, I think, big indicator is
Right.
your relationship with food, and sometimes that's very obvious in some people. Like they'll turn away food very strongly, like you're offering them a death sentence almost.
Yes.
Can be very apparent in some people, and in others like us, we are very good at hiding it and making excuses. So you don't want to assume that your friend is lying,
right?
about
You want to
feeling
take what
sick.
they're saying at face value, right?
Right, exactly.
That's how I got away with it, right?
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I have a weak stomach.
Yeah,
If
me
someone
too.
was gonna judge me for that, and
You're like, oh, you're just lying. You Like, just something else
believe
is
it.
going-
Yeah. If someone had said that to me, I think I would have frozen. Like a deer in headlights, like,
I don't know.
no. And then I would never have opened up to that person.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah,
do
there you
suspect
go.
someone has something, please be tactical about approaching them about it.
Seriously. You can sit down with them and just make sure that they're in a safe place and that you care. Like the reason why you want to sit down with them is because you care so much about them
Yeah.
and you're worried.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't use it as a time to attack, an opportunity to find out what's wrong with them.
Interview time.
Find out what's
Interrogation.
really going on.
So I read online ages ago when I was looking up all this bulimia stuff, like how do people know, what are the signs that someone has bulimia, and one of the things they wrote was scuff marks on their knuckles.
Or like,
Yeah, like bite marks or like torn skin on their knuckles from where they are putting their fingers down their throat and grazing their knuckles. And I thought,
What a stupid thing. Like,
clearly the person that wrote this is just imagining what a sign might be, because that's never happened to me ever. Like, how sharp would your teeth have to be to graze your skin?
Yeah.
Like,
And you open your mouth, you're not just
Enough,
like
you're not like-
forcing your finger through your teeth.
so I don't know, maybe other bulimics out there, do you have grazed knuckles from where you're throwing up?
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
mean, the signs, the visible signs were
There are
non-existent.
no visible signs, and
Right?
that's why it's so hard to decipher if someone has, right? And it's also dependent on the eating disorder itself. If it's just binge eating, then you need to be aware of how much they're eating, what time, the time span. Usually with binge eaters, it can happen late at night. If it's anorexia, they're probably not going to eat in front of you because they don't want to show you that they're not eating. So if you can't ever eat with them, or you go out to a restaurant and you see that they're cutting their food up into tiny pieces and putting it towards their mouth but never quite eating it, that's a sign that they might be anorexic. If it's bulimia, then yeah, just watch for every time they go to the toilet and start timing how long they're in the toilet for, because it's probably longer than what an average woman is going to the toilet for.
Right, especially if they go more than once
In one meal,
right.
yes. And try to see how quickly they're going to the toilet after they've finished eating, because it's normally directly after. They want to get it out as quickly as possible.
Right. Yeah, these are things that you can really pay attention to, not obsess over, but if you're worried about someone, then
Yes.
they're definitely indicators that you can keep your eye on, and when the time is right, when you can pull the person aside in a private space
Where they
then-
feel safe and comfortable.
most importantly, that's when you can try and address it as kindly as possible.
Yeah. Right. Okay, next question. As with people with anxiety or depression, there are common themes of useless advice and things not to do. What would that be with bulimia? What things or advice should you not do or give? Well, as I already said, don't tell them to.
just stop it.
get over it. Just eat.
Just don't throw up.
Yeah.
That's really harmful, and it's an addiction. You can't just stop smoking.
Exactly. You
When
can't
someone else tells you to.
Right? You're like a heroin addict. That's not heroin. What's heroin? 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 I don't know.
One of those.
You're a drug addict. And someone's like, oh, just stop it. Like, you don't say that to a drug addict, so why would you say it to someone with bulimia? It's not how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, putting the blame on them or just asking them,
What's wrong?
Why?
Why do you do the
Yeah.
things you do? Like,
Don't you know that that's a really unhealthy way to lose weight?
Or another thing where they list all the health issues.
You know, you can have your teeth fall out and you're going to scar up your throat, your stomach's going to be a mess.
It's like, yeah, but that's still not gonna make me stop immediately.
that's not helping.
Right.
Especially when you just go about making someone feel bad or feel scared.
Right. Putting guilt on them is not
Right.
going to help them get over it. It's gonna
Right.
make them stop talking to you and stop opening up to you.
And maybe other people as well.
Right. So just listen, be as understanding as possible, and don't say all that crap.
Take more of a gentle, understanding approach.
Even if you
and-
don't.
Yeah, you can educate yourself, but you don't have to go at it like you're going to educate someone
Yeah.
and make them feel bad about them already feeling bad about themselves.
Yeah, exactly. You're just gonna make the problem worse. Okay, that was a great question. Next. Is it my fault? Question from both the victim and the significant other family member or friend. As for victim, I didn't feel it was anyone's fault.
No.
I just felt that I wanted it to end.
There's so many factors that go into it, and there are some things that people say that have a lot of weight, but I don't think any one person can be the cause
trigger, yeah.
or the trigger, including yourself. If you're going through it, you know, you can't just put all the blame on yourself.
I don't think it is the fault of only one significant other, one family member, one friend. It might be a culmination of comments that you've received throughout your life from maybe some of those people, plus society's views.
If there's someone that's deliberately telling you you're too fat, or maybe not deliberately, but it's subconscious even in their behavior, they don't realize how harmful that is. That can really exacerbate the problem and make it worse for the person who's going through it.
Yes.
But there's probably a lot of other things that are going through that person's mind.
Right.
But you have to be careful with what you say as well, especially when you're close to the person, and if you know what's going on, there are things that you can avoid saying to that person that might trigger them, but it's not your responsibility.
Right.
either.
If someone does become bulimic or end up with an eating disorder, that responsibility should not fall on your shoulders.
Right. You can't
Yeah.
blame yourself.
Exactly.
It's too heavy to put on anyone.
Right. Next. How can I make a difference? Question from significant other, family, or friend.
You can make a difference by
Being
educating
there.
yourself and
Educating yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
being there, being open,
Being present.
non-judgmental. There's a lot of things that happen throughout the journey in the recovery process, and things that might shock you, things that you might have heard from us that have been shocking and
Yeah.
appalling.
Yeah.
But
And bulimia doesn't only affect like someone's mental state in their body. It affects so many things throughout your day. So, for example, one of my partners, when I was really suffering, was shocked when we were going into a crowded double-decker bus and most of the seats were full. He asked me to go up first and check out if there were any seats. And I was scared. I didn't want to. Why? Because I didn't want other people looking at me. Because I was so self-conscious of my body that I didn't want to put myself in the spotlight of being the first person in view of all these other people. So he actually got angry at me at the time. He didn't understand why I was being so difficult, why I wouldn't just go up the stairs. But I forced myself to anyway, and then had like a minor panic attack. It's other things that you're gonna have to understand. That things that you wouldn't think are related to an eating disorder, there are many things. So putting yourself in view of other people is one thing.
right, that's a really good example. Like, it's not directly related to binging or purging, but the
It's
general,
related to the
right,
disorder.
comfort
Yeah.
with yourself and not being able to be in certain situations and feel totally confident,
Yeah.
and needing that support
Yeah.
from someone else, or that understanding at least,
Yeah.
is very important.
So how can you make a difference? By listening to what your partner or your friend or your family member is saying, and not forcing them into situations that they're not comfortable with.
Right.
Because
Right.
yeah, to you might think, oh, you're being difficult, but actually there's a deeper reason.
And they may not be able to explain it right away or at all, and sometimes you just have to let that be and accept that fact that it's sensitive territory. Maybe you wouldn't want to be forced into a situation you're uncomfortable going into.
Yeah.
Just let it go
Right.
and just try to lead with love and understanding.
So as Wendy said earlier, you can educate yourself and you can try and find other methods of support. You can suggest therapy. If they're not comfortable, then don't force them into it, but suggesting and gently nudging them in the right direction, offering to cook healthy meals for them, for example.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Right? Like I had a friend at university who said,
Don't worry, I'm going to take care of cooking.
and she made the best meals. It was super
Aw.
healthy, and because of that home cooked gift, I also didn't want to purge just on the basis that my friend had made that for me.
And eating together as well.
it's a big thing, right?
You're not.
You can keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
If they get up to go, just say,
Are you okay? Do you need to talk?
And they might feel like they can focus on being together rather than just shoving food into their face.
However, if they're truly panicked and they need to go to the toilet because they're gonna, you're keeping them from like expelling fewer calories, just let them go. They've lost that battle that time. That's not your fault.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
you just need to be there for them when they need to talk to you about it later, for example. If you try and hold someone back from doing what they feel they need to do, then they might disconnect from you and you might lose them.
They might feel very uncomfortable relying on you.
Right.
So it's not your responsibility to fix anything. Just pay attention to their needs. And
Right, yes. Pay attention to their needs,
Right.
not your need to fix them.
Right, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because you can't.
No, you can't.
Okay, next. To be honest, okay, so this was from my mum. She said, to be honest, your bulimia had kind of passed me by. I didn't think it was as serious as I'm hearing now. Maybe I would question, did I let you down in my oblivion? Oh, that's a tough one. If you feel like later on you heard from a family member or a friend or significant other they had bulimia and you had no idea, that's got nothing to do with you. You're not to blame. In fact, if you're oblivious to something, then maybe the bulimic person in your life did that on purpose so as not to put pressure on you. So you shouldn't feel guilty or bad about that. Anything you want to add? No?
No, I think you said it very well yourself.
Okay, and final question. Oh, also from my mum. Did my parenting contribute to you developing it? I.e. how I dealt with food and diet, etc.? Well, I would say that my mum was very image conscious growing up. But again, that's not just her comments and stuff throughout life, it's also society's image of how a female body should be and what you should look like, and the latest makeup, the latest fashion, the latest diet fad, My mum did try out different diet fads, we tried them together, but I was in a healthy mindset when trying out these diet fads, and I don't think that affected me in a negative
I'm gonna become bulimic.
sort of way. So, don't worry, Mum, you're good. Alrighty, do you want to add anything to that? Do you reckon that anyone else's food or diet habits in your life affected you?
I would say that me wanting to find some kind of control in my life was more of the reason why I went down that path of having an eating disorder. Yeah, there's definitely things that you see in your parents, which is inevitable because parents aren't perfect.
Everyone has their own flaws.
That's right. So I don't blame anyone. I just appreciate the support that I have.
Yeah, I appreciate all the questions that we got from everybody. Thank you so much for contributing. If you have any more questions, please chuck them down there in the comments section. Of course, please give it a like and subscribe for more.
Also, be sure to check out my website. I run a website and blog, A Journey for Wisdom, with my now husband. So please check it out. And also, we have a podcast, Don't Tell My Grandma. You can find it on all podcasting platforms. So please check us out and let us know what you think. So,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Show Wendy some love.
Yeah, I need it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank